Hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar, Create Your First .NET MAUI App. I will be your presenter today. My name is Codrina Merigo. I am speaking from Italy, and I work as a digital product manager in the healthcare industry. I'm also a Microsoft MVP in the developer technology part, and maybe you already follow some webinars that I've done together with Syncfusion around xamarin forms and texting. Before we start, I just wanted to remember you that we will have a Q&A at the end of the webinar, and you can put your questions directly in the question window. You'll also find the recording of the webinar within a week. So let's get started. Of course, as we're now speaking today, the 11th of November, very nice date, about .NET, you may know that Microsoft has launched .NET 6 now. So .NET is a free cross-platform open source developer platform for building many different kinds of applications. And as they want to call it, is a platform for building anything from desktop, web to cloud, gaming, IoT, artificial intelligence. And today we are exactly in the middle with .NET MAUI. This funny image here that reminds me of this nice island, but MAUI is just .NET multi-platform UI. So it's a framework for us developers who want to write cross-platform apps using XAML and C# from a single shared code base in Visual Studio. For those of you who already work with xamarin forms, this is just a natural evolution of the framework. So .NET MAUI just unifies Android, iOS, macOS, Windows API into a single API in order to you to write once and run anywhere and have this unified experience. So as you can see from this diagram, we'll have this high-level architecture in order to target everything you can imagine for, or almost. So we will have cross-platform, native UI. With .NET MAUI, we'll also have a single project system with a single code base. We can deploy to multiple devices and mobile and desktop also in the same time. As you may already have read, the general availability has moved to the second quarter of next year. And of course, you can find all the roadmap and everything on GitHub. So just to summarize, .NET MAUI is the most productive way to develop native apps that perform great on Android, iOS, macOS, or Windows from a single code base. So .NET MAUI is a way to implement as much of your app logic and UI as possible in just a single code base. If we want to go more into detail, we will target with our applications Android 5 and higher, iOS 10 and higher, macOS, Windows desktop, and we also have platform support for Tizen, which is supported by Samsung, and Linux supported by the community. However, we will need a Mac for the iOS development, and the minimum required version of Xcode is 13. So I hope you already are familiar with this cross-platform development that we already have now with xamarin forms to connect to a Mac in the same network, and then we can just use the simulator for our Windows PC. So just to give you an overview of what we have, very similar to what we already have now with xamarin, more than 50 pages with layouts and different controls, two-way data binding, the shell navigation, which I think is the most used nowadays. So the navigation with the menu on the bottom of the screen with the big icons. We also have the Visual State Manager, different animation in drawing APIs, and different control and customization. And regardless of what you might think or what we might have seen from different frameworks, will have native performance. So your code that you write will interact directly with the .NET MAUI API and will anytime compile into native app packages. So if you already have some application on the stores or you run into some application, will anyhow have the APK for the Android and the APA for the iOS. So I also put here some more technical. So I use the so-called ahead of time compilation to get and produce the binary that will go directly into the store, and Android takes advantage of the just-in-time compilation. For Windows apps, we have the Windows UI library in order to create the native apps that can target Windows Desktop and the Universal Window platform. And of course, we will directly consume the native platform API from our app. So if we want to access the camera, the battery level, or any kind of API that are connected to our device, we can do it by using native API access. Following, I just wanted to show you with a couple of small videos. We start. A couple of features from Visual Studio that are very useful for .NET MAUI. One is hot reload that will help us while we are developing, and the most important thing that also works with custom control third parties library. So anytime you want to reload, you'll have it directly from Visual Studio without the need to rebuild and reinstall the app, because when we are speaking about a mobile app, each time we do the build and compiling, the app is installed on our device. And the second feature is the hot restart one. It's a way to redeploy the applications, and anyhow in this way save some time, and we can debug the iPhone directly from the computer, which is also a very nice feature that we have, and of course works very nice with hot reload. So I have some videos here, not sure they're not working, but anyhow we will see these features during the demo. So in order to get started, we'll need the last version of Visual Studio 2022, and now we can say that we need .NET 6. So for .NET MAUI, we have now we are at review 10. Just open again the screen. So from a couple of days, we have now the ability to install .NET MAUI together with the mobile development. So this is the very last review that we have as of today. So while installing Visual Studio, you will just need to check this box here for mobile development. If you want to target also Universal Windows platform, you need to select this other box here. For Android, .NET MAUI requires the 31 API SDK to be installed in order for you to develop. And as I mentioned before, if you want to target iOS and macOS requires a Mac. Okay, so now it's time for the demo. I already installed the preview. So the 2022 Microsoft Visual Studio preview, the last version. And very simple, we will just go and create a new project. So while the project templates are loading, I already used this one, .NET MAUI app, which is in preview mode. And when Visual Studio creates for us the solution, we will get this here. So when you first install the preview, you'll also need to create some emulators if you want to use the emulator, or you need to connect your Android phone. For today, I will be using a very simple emulator here that I just created from the Android manager that you can find directly from Visual Studio. And we will now take a deep look into the solution that we have as a starting point. So while I will try to build this, we'll take a look at the solution, what we have here, and try to imagine some difference from xamarin Forms and what we have today. So all our platforms are already here for us. So if you want to focus maybe only on the mobile part, or Android, iOS, or anyhow, we have Windows and Mac. As I mentioned, we'll have a single project inside our solution that will be targeting different platforms. We also have different resources for our application in a single point. So if you remember, for xamarin Forms, we'll have 3 different projects, and each project will have their own resources. Here is everything very condensed and structured. So the fonts, images, SVG is very more supported for .NET MAUI. And of course, we can add anyhow our platform specific and the different things that we need for our application. But anyhow, the focus for us is on the code sharing part. So the logic, the pages, that will be the same. While the app is working, we'll just take a look what we have. And so very simple, our app will initialize our main page that is here with the code behind. And in the meantime, you can see that the application is running. So the first thing that we see is the splash screen, and then we will be seeing the first page. So very simple, we have some labels, we have a button, and each time you click, the current count will increase for us. So what we are seeing now is exactly this page here with the different labels. So just to see the hot restart and hot reload in action, I'll just put here hello Syncfusion. While I'm running, I will just save it, and you see directly the application change without the need to rebuild and restart everything. The same if I go in the code behind, where we have the logic. Let me try to put it one near the other so we can see it better. So here is my app, For example, I have that the current count increments by 1. I can just increment it by 10, for example. Let's see if this works. And when I click, of course, it's not working because we are demoing. But the idea is, anyhow, you are also changing the logic. You will be able to very fast to see this. So in the XAML part, we also have all the intelligence that will help us really when we're writing code. And we have all the connection with our dynamic resources, for example. Anyhow, we will always have the possibility to invoke the so-called on-platform properties. So for iOS, we have, for example, a different padding than for Android, but anyhow, we can have it just in one single code. So I think this is a very nice way to start looking and going deeper into the .NET MAUI using this simple application from Visual Studio. I'll just stop it for now, and I will go back to my slide because maybe someone also wants to use the command line interface. Also from there, you'll be able to create your new MAUI preview application and really look deeper into the sample. For the second part of the webinar, I wanted to go deeper into the comparison and the path that we will have now from xamarin Forms to .NET MAUI. So what will happen exactly when there will be .NET MAUI available? We will have a favorite, let's say, assistant. I don't think it will be named Clippy, but it will help us to do the upgrading for our xamarin Forms application. So invoking this assistant that you can also find on GitHub will help you convert your xamarin Forms application into a .NET MAUI application. What this assistant will do for us will do, of course, a backup. We'll convert all the project file, update the packages, and different steps that you can see here. So will help us go from Xamarin Forms project with .NET Standard, the Android project, the iOS project, so the 3 projects that I mentioned before. After that, we will be having exactly what we saw from the demo application. We'll have the .NET MAUI project with the target. We also have the multi-targeting part, also everything to get into this new single project experience. You can find all the documentation inside the GitHub. All the references will be there for us. There will also be some renaming the targeting part and other activities that will happen in the background. So we'll go from the actual .NET Standard to the new SDK with all the new identifiers. And of course, the renaming. So what we have today, xamarin Forms, will be the Microsoft .NET MAUI. The essential part where you can find the access to all the APIs with all the devices. There are also some minor renamings, colors, button, and what you will see. So this is just an example of a xamarin application with different projects that will be mapped into a unique project for us. as we saw in the sample app. So we'll find everything anyhow under resources. So in order for our app to be the best regardless of the platform, you need to create resources for different screens and have all in the same place. So you have for iOS part, Android, and everything. As I mentioned, all the different, for example, here we have the Android folders will be moved to the new resources folders. The same for the fonts and the launch screen, so the very first image of the application. I also prefer using SVGs in order to let the device actually render it best on the screen. So you can prefer if you just want to move everything, replace them with SVGs, or work with the app icon. Also, very important these days during the .NET conference, there has been a nice presentation about the drawing controls you can find also in .NET MAUI. So if you are really passionate about drawing, you can use all the APIs to create everything you want for your application. Okay. So imagine that we already moved, let's say, our xamarin up to the new part. I think now it's time for us to really work on our application to try to understand what we really need, how we can leverage this new way of creating. As you can see here, we can target different devices, simulators at the same time. So similar as we saw into the slides, anytime we can invoke different emulators for application and just see how this application works on the different platforms. Now I think some things that might also be helpful for us. So I usually take the Android app as an example because it's easier to demo. So if we really want to go on the store, we'll very simple compile our manifest and also understand different permissions that our app will need. In order to go to the stores, we will need different images, different app icons, but I think if you already have some apps on the store, you are pretty familiar with all the process. And anyhow, as I said, we don't have any layers in between our application and the direct binary that will go to the store, so it will be very helpful for us. So, okay. Now it's save our application. Another feature that I wanted to show to you. See if can find it very quickly. So as you might imagine, I just updated yesterday the new version. But for those of you who really prefer to create pages in Xamarin, we also have the visual part that can help us while we are creating our UI. And of course, if you prefer G#, you can create the same page from G#. Okay, I also mentioned all the different data binding. So if you take a quick look on GitHub, you can use your model view model pattern that you like. In these days, with .NET MAUI, you can use pretty much everything and create your views, your models, and your view models as you done previously with the xamarin Forms. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are just in the very first previews mode of everything. I don't know why my emulator is not popping up because I wanted to show you something else. I will really invite you to take a deep look into the solutions, try to understand the difference if you already work with xamarin Forms, or if you just want to start these days to really understand the cross-platform development. While we are all waiting for the general availability, I think there will be more previews in the next month, so we can really try to understand our app with .NET MAUI. Of course, if you want, you can still start with xamarin Forms because the support will anyhow continue for xamarin. And after that, you can use the assistant that you can find on GitHub in order to migrate your application. Okay, so I hope you liked this very short introduction into .NET MAUI. I would really love to see if you have any questions. Thank you and hope to see you all again and to see your new apps.